welcome back. I'm just going to be doing a comments video today, as I said I would. I've looked at all your comments. This video will just be covering some of them, so apologies if I don't cover all of your comments in this video. I've looked at all of them, but there's too many. I can't cover all of them in this video, so I've just selected some of them, because otherwise it would take too many videos and I wouldn't get them done. I'm just going to select some of your comments on the videos. So start with the one on ADHD, the video I did about that ADHD documentary, the Channel 4 one. So one of you says, it made me smile when you said you used to love running when you were a child, pretending to be an aeroplane. I used to love running too. In class, I would be the classic daydreamer, so much so the teacher would come right up and wave her hand in front of my face. Yeah, that's interesting, because I remember when I was at school, kids sometimes used to do that to me. They would sometimes go, oh, it's so annoying. But at break time in primary school, I would run and run as fast as I could and pretend was a cheetah. You mentioned that you really struggle with organisation and time management. You do leave things to the last minute. Though you also hate having things hanging over you like that. So it's a sort of no-win situation. But you are very routinized due to autism, and things that are part of your routine don't get forgotten. But if your routine breaks down, then you forget to do things. Like you say, like myself, your mum has to sort out school bag. Your mum had to sort out your school bag, and school noted your organisation problems. Another one of you says that that often it's the more powerful condition that wins out and may give a false impression. For example, a person might be seen to be highly organised and attentive when in fact it's their anxiety that's keeping them focused. And that was in relation to what I was saying when I was talking about my OCD and how that compensates for some of the ADHD traits. Another one of you says that you put subtitles on YouTube videos or you have a hard time paying attention. That's interesting to know that you do that as well. Another one of you says that like you, I don't miss appointments for things that you are focused on and which are important. But appointments that are regular and part of routine, your routine you don't miss, but you might miss them if they get shifted to a different day or time. You really don't like that sense of things not being completed, so when it comes to things you are interested in, then you do tend to finish them. But in school, because you were rarely interested in things that they wanted you to be doing, they never got finished. But conversely, things that you were very interested in, then you would focus a lot on them and really want them to get completed. Yeah, I was the same at school. If I was really interested in a subject, then I would pay great attention to it, and my work would look quite different to, say, if I was not interested in it, which is interesting because when I look back through some of my old school books, some of my work is really, really neat and tidy, and that is on the subjects that I'm really interested in, like when we did a project on ducks in year 3, and I was really interested in it, so I wrote it out really, really neatly. And I think we also did a project on badgers or something like that, and I was really, really interested in finding everything out about badgers and their sets and everything, and again, was really focused on it. Or like in year 6 when we learned about the human body, I loved learning about the human body. I remember I loved it. That was my favourite year 6 as well, because all the subjects I was interested in. And we had a really nice teacher, which helped. But yes, I loved learning about the human body. And I remember writing down every single thing that the teacher said. Really, really focused, just writing down everything, all the details, all the gross stuff as well. I love learning about puberty, got really, really interested in that. I wanted my mum to get me books on puberty and the human body, and I just love learning about it. So when I did get very, very interested in something and it was full on focus, but unfortunately a lot of the time there were things I just wasn't interested in, and I'd just be found walking around a classroom or idly like staring out the window, like what you said, daydreaming. So another one of you says, for you have autism more strongly than ADHD, so a bit like me in that respect. I'll say my autism is the stronger of the conditions I have in terms of the impact on my life and in terms of the symptoms. So you're similar. You say that you barely qualify for an ADHD diagnosis, but you don't like following routines. You don't like following routines, but they are good for me. I'm different in that respect. I do like following routines. I need routines, actually. So unlike you, I do actually like following routines. That's where the autism, I feel, probably has a bigger impact on my life than ADHD. Like, it's a stronger influence in terms of my profile, because I both like routines and need routines. So I actively follow a kind of routine. It's just that, I mean, I follow a routine, like I do things more or less at the same time. I'm very kind of focused on the time and what I need to be doing, and if it's a particular time, and I'm like, I need to be doing this now, and if I'm not doing it, then things feel out of sync. But for you, it sounds like your ADHD has a bigger influence in that area. But you say you talk a lot and you have problems with interrupting people. Yeah, same. I am a talker. I love talking. That's probably why I do use YouTube videos. I talk to myself. My gob is practically never shut. So yes, I do talk a lot. I just like talking. Talk to thin air, even if no one's there. So yes, I do find it hard, like when I'm with people and I just want to be talking all the time. But then again, I can kind of swing though. Like I can talk too much, but again and it's quite hard for me not to talk. But then at other times, if the topic's like really, really boring, like say, I don't know, if it's like an online Zoom or whatever, and the topic is like really, really boring, I then end up becoming really quiet and disengaged. So it can kind of actually swing from either one or two. Either I'm constantly got my hand up, I'm constantly wanting to talk, and like getting distracted because all I can think about is wanting to talk. Again, I find it hard to listen to others because I just want to talk. That, by the way, is actually annoying, because it's not like I don't want to hear other people, it's just that I just get fixated on talking, and then I don't hear what other people are saying, and I get annoyed with myself because I want to hear what they're saying, but I can't focus because I'm focusing on talking. And but again, like I say, if it's really boring, or I'm not interested, which is a lot of the time, then it'll go the other extreme and I literally don't say anything. I just kind of, ultimately, I often just end up completely switching off and doing other stuff because I just can't be bothered. So it kind of varies. But I am a talker. I like talking. You say, you have, so that's your kind of like more ADHD trait, I guess you could say, although I think autism can do that as well. You say you have more special interests than many autistic people and cycle between them. Yeah, I'm like that as well. Less so maybe when I was younger. I mean, my longest interest was actually when I was really fixated on the Titanic and Kate Winslet, and then babies, because Kate Winslet had a baby. And one came out of the other. That interest actually lasted well over a decade, and that was, I would say, the most obsessive interest I've ever had. And everything, I mean, literally everything was focused around those topics, which is all ultimately linked to Kate Winslet. Ultimately, it began with Titanic, and then it went from there. And I mean, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with what people had to eat in their lunch boxes. It was quite obsessive. But I think as I've become an adult, my interests have become a bit more diverse and not quite as kind of narrow as I used to be. I have become a bit less narrow as I've got. I'm just as obsessive as I used to be. The obsessive nature is just the same, but I'm not as narrow as I used to be. I think I've definitely become less narrow in terms of my interests. After about, certainly in my 20s, I think I became a bit less narrow, and for better or worse. Your autism does evolve as you get older, and some autistic features can become a bit not as full on, But I am just as obsessive as I used to be. That element is still there. I'm just as obsessive, but I would say my interests aren't as narrow as they used to be. Like when I was a kid and a teenager, I was very, very mono. It was like literally just one thing. If I was interested in that one thing, and it was hard to like literally do anything else. Whereas now I'm not quite. I'm now it's actually I actually have far more diverse interests. Like I often have several interests going together, which I didn't have when I was a teenager or a child. So yeah, my interests have become more varied, but I'm just as obsessive with them. Like, the problem is though that with those more, and also I do cycle more now between interests, which I didn't do when I was younger. So that has changed, that element. But what I'm trying to say is that can come with problems of its own, because because having more interest, like when you just have like one or two interests, it's like, and that's all you're focusing on, you don't have that problem of deciding what to focus on. But when you have several interests that you're equally obsessed about, it can become a lot harder to like know what one to do, and then it's annoying because you want to do all of them. So that's a problem I face more as an adult, which is a problem I didn't have when I was a kid. So that shows how my autism has changed a bit. I've become less narrow, but just as obsessive. Okay. Well, I'm going to move over to video number 2 now to carry on going over your comments. So moving over to video number 2.